Oh. Well, we'll take a break right away then, I guess. Anyway, we're live now. That's cool. Um,
Oh, are we live?
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna grab this pizza and just I'll be right back.
Okay. Da 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 da. Or you can see me in both places. All right. Oh, I see what the yellow flashing is about. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Again, as long as it's not on stream, it's not a problem.
It's not. I mean, you can see my video camera on stream right now because Max turned his camera off, but anyway, it's fine. Nobody's right on time for stream. Also, I need to fix my thing. So how are you, Kayleigh?
I'm doing alright. I quit my job because it was bad.
Yeah.
It was not good for my health. Because I for those of you who are not aware, which I'm sure is most of you, I have chronic health problems, and I had a very physical job there for a while, and it was making it worse. So I quit, and now I'm unemployed. So that's how it is right now. But you know.
Yeah. That's the way it is sometimes, sadly.
Yep. How it be.
Yeah. I just came off of the Ineffable Con. The Good Omens convention, so that's fun.
How was that?
It was fun. The first panel that I went to besides the opening one was the Chattering Order of St. Beryl, which is apparently like a bunch of fans who just like got together and decided to like role play, which is really awesome. So that was super exciting. Super excited to see that. And then Max is back. Yay. And then I was
back. Sorry.
Yay, that's okay.
I hear the words "we're live" from Sylvie, and then my dad texts me the eagle has landed, which I assumed meant pizza. So.
Yeah. That's fine. The world must stop for pizza. Anyway, we were just talking about.
I interrupted you.
It's fine. No. I was just talking about Ineffable Con because I just got back from there because that's where I was all day.
I saw something about that on Twitter. That was. I assume it's a Good Omens thing.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that word in and of itself is pretty indicative of it being a Good Omens thing. But yeah, anyway, we are here. We are queer. Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Welcome.
Yeah. So we are doing the Makeup Witchcraft podcast. So we're going to be talking about witchcraft, practicing our personal beliefs, whatever we feel like talking about. Maybe we should start with I don't know. Should we all just go around and kind of talk about how we got into our witchcraft practices?
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good to me. All right.
So who should start? Do you want me to start?
You start.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will start.
You volunteer.
All right. So yeah, my name is Sylvie for anybody who's new here. And I use they them pronouns. Fun. And I'm a Capricorn, so fun. But how I got into witchcraft specifically was I actually sort of had a weird conversion experience of sorts. Because when I was in high school, I've been like raised Christian and stuff like that. I don't know how deeply I felt about it, but it was just kind of like Stockholm syndrome where like it was the only religion that I knew, so it was the religion that I just put myself into wholeheartedly, one way or the other. Oh, Kayleigh, are you having problems?
What do you mean?
You typed ... into the thing.
Oh.
Okay. ... went to the Discord. I was a little concerned.
Keyboard smash?
I guess. Oh,
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
All right, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that everything was all right on your end.
No, I'm good. Trying to
Anyway.
set up a light. Keep going.
Okay. So, yeah, so I'd kind of just been raised Christian, was kind of going gung-ho on that. Because it was all that I knew. And when I was a senior in high school, my grandmother passed away. She died very suddenly, at least it seems so to like my brother and I, because she had had a lot of medical problems for many years, and basically like we found out later that she had been prepared to die for many years, because she had a lot of complicated medical issues, and you know like she just didn't expect to live like as long as she did. So I mean it was good that like my brother and I actually got to know her, but like at the same time it's like we didn't know that it wasn't something that was expected. So that was kind of hard. And I remember being in the hospital room, being in the hospital waiting room, and like very fervently praying like I had never prayed before for everything to be okay and for my grandmother to live. Because I had never experienced death of a family member before. So that was something that like, you know, was a big thing. And of course, as it happened, she died. She continued to pass on. And at that point, I was like, all right, nobody's listening to me up there. I'm done. So I became agnostic, which is basically like you don't care what exists or not. Like you don't care about it, as the word seems to suggest. Um, so we went, I think like it was like a year or so after that. We went on a big family vacation to go to all of New England. So we saw like Massachusetts and Connecticut and all those kinds of other places. Um, Excuse me, because my mom's like really into Moby Dick. So we went all the way up there. Oh, I forgot to start my timer for it. Dang it. All right, sorry.
It's okay, I'm watching. It's chill.
Okay, you're Kayleigh's watching. All right.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I totally forgot. All right. I need to shut up and not talk so much. But anyway, we went on this.
It's a podcast. You're supposed to talk.
I know, but I don't want to. Anyway, I don't want to like waste time.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. So, we went on this like whole big vacation, and basically like at the end of it, I started being really interested in and feeling drawn to witchcraft. And the last day that we were in Salem, I went into like a witch shop, and I was talking with these lovely old ladies about Wicca, which was my first introduction to witchcraft and paganism. And I bought a book from them and started reading it, and kind of just got interested in it a little bit from that. And then on the drive home, I had like a spiritual experience. I kind of like, started feeling the world around me and sort of like feeling connected to the earth and the sea. And I sort of felt like I had found like a guide of sorts to help me get into it, witchcraft. And yeah, so then I just started like practicing from then on and finding different gods and goddesses from there. So that's kind of like my intro story.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've heard this story.
Yeah, no, I know. I was like, yeah, there's nothing else that anybody
no,
else.
So,
but yeah,
that's why I'm not super like reactionary.
No, you're fine. So who wants to go next? Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. I'm Max. I'm a 20-year-old college student.
I first got into witchcraft. My first introduction to it was Wicca, as is the case in like most of the Western world nowadays. Like that's people's first introduction to modern witchcraft, for the most part. I was about 13, yeah, give or take, and I remember I was conveniently enough, it was like kind of right before I was about to make my Catholic confirmation. So, super convenient timing. At that point, I had been spiritual within Catholicism, but there was definitely some stuff that I disagreed with. Coming to terms with my queerness as a person, especially. So yeah, I was kind of leaning more out of the whole Catholic thing, and I was actually really anxious about, doing the whole confirmation thing. Um, Even though, like, the thing is, they tell you it's like you're being locked into Catholicism for life, but like you're really not. You can leave. It's fine. No one's going to haul you back into the chapel. It's fine. But something that stuck with me, I remember the day I did make my confirmation, which I ended up doing, I had a panic attack because I was having this sort of spiritual crisis. And I remember, I don't know how, but I ended up getting out of line and I ended up in like a copy room at the church, just like having a panic attack trying to escape what was happening. And at some point, just like someone grabs me by the shoulder, I turn around, it's a priest, he goes, "Okay, you're confirmed." And I'm like, okay, fine. I cried a little bit, but it was fine. And one thing that really stuck with me that my dad said was, it was when I said something along the lines of, I'm really not sure about this whole Catholic thing. And my dad said, it was something along the lines of, "I kind of wish you'd told us that like 4 tuition payments ago." Which was the best response he could have given me.
Yeah.
But other than that, after that, after I kind of recovered from that, I was doing a lot of research on the internet. I don't think I was on Tumblr at this point, but I definitely was at some point. And that was where I was getting a lot of resources. Right now, in my practice, I'm still figuring things out. You don't stop figuring things out sometimes, but it's what was I about to say? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to get into a more kind of thorough research phase, and I'm having some like literature recommended to me from different just witchcraft and occult sources, just because I want to like shop around with ideas. I was doing that for a while when I was taking a world religions class, so I really do like to explore different takes on religion from different parts of the world. I do consider myself somewhat eclectic, but a lot of my influences come from just like my Catholic heritage and what information I can get my hands on from that regard, because it's not the easiest thing to do. But yeah, I guess that's about it for now.
Okay.
It was a bit of a ramble, but
That's fine.
Yeah. So I'm Kayleigh, and I'm not really a practicing witch. I don't. I hesitate to even call myself a witch at this point because I'm so early on in the learning process.
You're a baby witch.
But I'm a baby witch. I've been a pagan my entire life, though.
Mm.
I was raised pagan. My grandparents tried really hard to get me to go to church and to be Presbyterian, like they are. But they lived far away, and I went to an elementary school that was like, it was an alternative school, and it was very it was focused on like local Native American beliefs. And so like I was just kind of raised in that kind of, worshiping the earth and being respectful to the earth and very earth-centric belief systems. And then my parents celebrated Yule and Samhain and Beltane and all the Celtic holidays. And so I always kind of felt that there was one specific goddess that was watching over me, like, for my entire life, and I didn't know who it was until I started doing research into Celtic mythology. And so I've kind of always had a connection to Arianrod, who's the holder, she's the keeper of the Wheel of Time, or the Wheel of the Year, excuse me. And so she's kind of a time goddess, and I feel very connected to her. And so for me, it's all about vibes, it's all about feeling. And that's been my experience so far.
Yeah, it's interesting because Kayleigh and I have talked about before about both being empathic in different ways. So it's very interesting that, like, you're talking about, like, feeling your way through this, like, witchcraft pagan experience, because I've done much of the same. I think Max is the only one here who's actually doing it by the book.
I don't know what book that is, but all right.
You're doing it by many books, all books, every book.
A few, yeah.
Doing research, things like that, because yeah. I don't think like outside of the original book, which I didn't even finish reading, I've never done like any research into like anything pagan specifically. I've done like research on like different gods and goddesses and things like that, but that has more come up because of feelings, as opposed to me actually, like, I don't know, feeling drawn to research, I suppose.
Yeah, and I always, in my practice too, I always just kind of do what feels right. I don't look up like rituals or anything. I just kind of do it if it feels right.
Yeah, I think that's super cool and valid, to be honest. I mean, so much of spirituality, I feel like, is about feelings. And although I like to do my research and, like, you know, get ideas, I don't usually do other people's written out rituals. I just kind of get over here, cleanse the space, and see what vibes I'm feeling. I think that is a good approach for an empathic person, as I know especially Sylvie is. Like, I know you to be a very empathic person, Sylvie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, research is good, but it's not everything. It really isn't. Because it's supposed to be fulfilling to you as an individual, and if that's how you feel fulfilled, go for it. That's it. That's your thing.
Yeah, I always feel really weird following other people's written out rituals.
Yeah, too. I'm like,
it doesn't feel, it feels like somebody else's energy, and it's just
it's weird.
I think the most that I've done is I've kind of learned by proxy by reading other people's rituals about, like, what kind of gemstones are used for this, and like what kind of, you know, like, stuff are you supposed to have,
like, for correspondences.
Yeah, but like, other than that, it's like I can't, in the same way that you guys are talking about, I can't see myself word for word following somebody else's spell book. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it feels like such a personal thing, and like using like someone else's, especially like incantation or words, it doesn't feel right, at least not to me. I mean, I might like see someone else's ritual or a different written out ritual, and I'm like, I like this idea. I have to put my own energy into it. I have to change it a little bit so that I can effectively put my energy into it. It's otherwise it just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel effective.
So shall we kind of talk about our alignments, if we have any. Like what kind of gods or goddesses that we worship, if at all.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'll start since I was the
Yeah.
one to initiate that. So I'll lead by example. Um, I bounced around for many years as to what I wanted to be because I feel a very strong connection. For being an earth sign, funnily enough, I feel a very strong connection to the ocean, and I always have ever since I was a little kid. So at first, like I thought, like, well, maybe I would like to be a sea witch. So that was kind of where I was leaning, doing a lot of work with. And I would still like to work with stuff like sand and shells as objects of power. Um, but I found recently, and again, this is a spiritual experience of sorts. I found I was called to healing, which TikTok of all things sort of introduced me to. So, um, yeah, I became very attracted to doing healing, personal healing, and working with others to help heal, um, which is kind of very important to me, I guess, and very important to the person that I am becoming. Um, because Max, we went to school together for a little bit, so you know the kind of like clubs and organizations that I was involved in, um, and it was a lot of helping people, helping other people, and like in personal levels and understanding things like that. So,
Yeah.
the healing path has always been like right in front of me. It just kind of took me a while to get smacked across the face with it and decide that's what I was going to be for officially. So I'm now working with Hecate very closely because
I still can't pronounce Heck. I'm pretty sure.
well,
But it's your goddess.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's translated. It's.
I don't know.
If she's cool with you pronouncing it that way, that's her call.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, whatever it's pronounced as, it's an ancient Greek word anyway. It sounds very dismissive, but anyway, because I think I heard it pronounced Hecate one time, and I just can't get it out of my head. Anyway, so yeah, I'm working very closely with her, with that goddess, which and I found like a whole sort of I don't necessarily want to call it a cult because that has negative connotations. But I did find online while doing research that there was a whole bunch of people who were, worshiping Hecate and using her as as like a healing goddess and worshiping her in that respect. So I kind of unofficially joined those sorts of people. But I've had other gods and goddesses that I've worked with. Mazu was the first goddess that I worked with, although she and I are no longer on good terms. She requires a lot more rituals than I'm able to perform right now. But I hope to work with her again someday. She was a Chinese water goddess, and the first goddess that I worked with, and helped me kind of get used to working with deities. And then Thor also sort of called me to his service. Don't know why, but I will not question the will of the gods. So yeah, I work with a broad pantheon, I would say. Yeah.
I guess I'm next.
That is cool. Oh,
sure,
okay.
Go ahead.
There was silence, and I was like, I'm gonna film.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it. Thank you.
So I'm very much Celtic in my practices, just because I was raised that way, and because, like I said earlier, Aryan Rod always kind of watches over me. But I also work with Anya, who's the goddess of the midsummer, and so like the sun and nature and that kind of vibe. And then I also work with Morrigan, who is the goddess of death, which it's very, very broad scope of things that I work with.
Covering your bases.
Yes, but I didn't know that what I do a lot is considered necromancy, because I work with spirits a lot, and apparently that's considered necromancy. I didn't know that. But Morrigan is very helpful with me there. And then Anya's really great when I'm trying to like heal or just get energy, feel good emotionally. And then Ari and Rod is kind of like a guide. So I use them for different things. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Me personally, I haven't done a whole lot of specific deity work. There have been a few deities in a few different pantheons. A lot of it is just like, sorry, lost my train of thought. The way I view deities and deity work myself in my personal practice is in a kind of animistic way, in a kind of like there is an energy in all things, and sometimes I will use a personification or a deity in that way, but I've never I've never, or only a few times in my life, ever felt a deity in that kind of personified way that a lot of people describe. It has happened a few times, but usually that's my deal.
Interesting. So, do we want to talk about? I don't know. I was trying to think of like personal objects like tarot. I know we all read tarot. So, do we want to talk about that and spiritual work? And...
We're good now. I'm trying to learn, but it's a lot. So
it is a lot. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should say I actively read tarot, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, am I the only one who actually actively reads? Sorry, go ahead, Max.
You might be. Part of the reason I don't actively read so much is because I'm of the school of thought that I don't like reading myself. So a lot of people feel this way. They feel that they can read too much into themselves that way. They feel like they can... Do you know what I mean when I say that? There are people who feel that way about reading themselves as opposed to other people. I do feel that way. I get anxious when I read myself. So I've been just kind of learning and researching, but not actually doing it, which is not a great way to learn, but it's happening.
Well, and I remember telling you last time that you absolutely should practice in the Discord. Use it for tarot readings. We've got like a whole thing in there for tarot.
I should. Just to do it, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, and Kayleigh, you're more than welcome to do so too, because it's important to practice those things and put that stuff into practice. Because I think you don't get, because as the one of us who reads actively, apparently, I don't think you get past the overwhelming wave, shall I say, of information about tarot until you sort of do it and experience it for yourself. Because I'm an intuitive reader, so I don't play by the book. I don't play by the rules. I just kind of go whatever the cards are telling me in the moment, and that's kind of more how I read somebody, with mixed results. but I didn't get past the whole like by the book sort of reading until I learned how to do that, until I learned how to trust that the cards were going to tell me something that I needed to hear, either for like another person or for myself, because I haven't read myself in years, and I don't do it often. But because I work with a goddess who wants me to read myself on occasion in order to direct myself further, I do have to put a certain trust into the cards that I'm pulling and reading. So doing that, putting the trust in the cards, has sort of allowed me to um, give up that sort of like tightness that you feel like, oh, but like I don't remember what this card means. It's like it doesn't matter what the card means. Like you have a base for a lot of the cards, like the major arcana, the minor arcana, do have a sort of meaning, as far as like their pictures represent, a man or a woman or a father figure or death itself, et cetera, et cetera. But the but in your individual readings, they may mean something totally different. If I pull a death card for somebody, my first reaction is to calm them down and say this is not a bad thing. It could refer to death of self, as a death of something that, was a death of something that wronged you, a death of your old self. Like as I think about people who are coming out, that there's a part of them that's dying, so that they can be reborn. So, like that's those cards mean different things for different people, is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah. What were you saying? What you were saying about kind of the imagery of the card often reflects the meaning. That is true in a lot of decks, and it can, like, if you are reading like by the book, as you say, that can be helpful. I'll be like, oh god, what does that card mean? Oh, there's the fox. It's like trickery. Yeah, and I mean, I speaking of that, I do remember one of the first readings I ever did. It was for a family member who I'm close to, and I pulled the death card, and she's just like, and I'm like, no, it's not like that. See, a lot of the like more threatening cards, like death and the devil, are honestly not that threatening or negative inherently.
Yeah.
The tower is scary. Be afraid of that. No, I'm kidding.
Never be afraid.
But
yeah,
sometimes you have to calm someone down from that, talk them down from.
Yeah, I was actually
the death
like
card or something like that.
Absolutely. Talking about the original cards. This is my first tarot deck, so it's the original one. It's the one that playing cards are based off of. Fun fact.
The Rider-Waite.
Yeah. I've had a lot of different decks, and I've kind of talked about, I think, a little bit the last time we did this, my sort of individual relationship with the different decks that I have, because I have this deck, which is my first deck, very reliable, very sort of by the book. If I'm reading somebody who I don't know very well, or if I'm with somebody who wants a more reliable reading, then I recommend this deck. Most of my decks are like that. My Arthurian deck, which is underneath my computer as a stand, so I'm not going to grab it, but that one's a little bit more mischievous, more mystic. I have to try a little harder often to read those cards, to put actual effort in. But
they're not straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have a completely dead deck, who I can't read at all, which is my Sherlock Holmes deck. Ironically enough, I feel like that's very fitting for Holmes. And then there's this deck, which is the Tarot of Bones. It's an individual, like an indie deck. A very beautiful deck. I think Max has been read by this deck also.
You have read me with that deck. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this one has a very different sort of style. I kind of use something akin to spirit writing when I read from this deck, because that's just the kind of vibe that I get from it, I guess. So what I'll do with this deck is I will use the little guide that came with my Rider Waite. And I will, look up each card if it has a correspondence, the major arcana or the minor arcana, and then just kind of go into a trance-like state and sort of, envision the person that I'm reading and write out the things that are relevant and then read it out to the person as I'm going over the reading. And like I was talking about this last time, and like the weird thing about it, which is why I kind of liken it to spirit writing, is that like I don't remember like what I wrote and why. I mean, like I remember it as like, in relation to the card that I pulled, but like I don't remember writing it. Like I remember the first person I read. I know, it's like spooky. The first person I read with this deck was Juno, our mutual friend, Max, and I wrote like a whole paragraph and then like I looked at it, and before I handed it over to them I was like, I don't remember writing all of that, but okay. Here we go. So that was sort of my experience.
I think that's a really cool divination process, to be honest.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Thank you. But yeah, so that's been my experience.
Yeah, what you were saying about having a relationship with cards and personalities towards different decks. The only deck I actually physically own at this point is the Greater Unknown Tarot. It's a pretty popular deck. It's very accessible. You can get it everywhere. I really like the imagery. The art is I showed it on the last time we did this, and it's a lot of like really cool kind of forest-based ink drawings. It kind of strikes me as this, like the personality I would assign to it, I guess, is kind of this mysterious forest spirit that speaks in riddles, but is actually kind of helpful.
That's a good way.
Like
to think
it's helpful, but you got to think about it.
Yeah. What about you, Kayleigh?
I have 2 decks now. Last time we talked about tarot on the podcast, I think I only had one, but I got one for my birthday 2 weeks ago.
Yay!
Yay!
So I got it's Star Spinner tarot.
Ooh.
Nice. It's really pretty. It's got like these they look almost holographic, but not technically.
The holosexuals in chat are quaking.
I know. But they have like imagery of like fairies and mermaids and stuff on them. They're really pretty. And there's 4 different lovers cards that you can choose from to reflect LGBTQ relationships.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, yeah, it's really cool. So I got that. I don't know it well enough to assign like a personality to it.
That means you gotta work with it
at all. But
that makes sense. You kind of gotta work with it a little.
Yeah, gotta work with it. My other one is
Ooh. Oh no.
Not good. I didn't realize how many things were leaning on this. But
that's a mood.
My Celtic tarot, which I keep in this pencil box because it didn't come with a box. And I keep it like wrapped in gold ribbon because I'm extra.
Ooh. I like that.
But it's got like Celtic imagery on it, and it's
those are pretty.
Now, but
Yeah, it really does look reminiscent of like like a sort of proto-Renaissance kind of illustration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like
it's.
that.
I like the Judgment card. It's pretty.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, those are my
I
decks.
keep saying I like that. I need to think of a different
It's okay.
map layer.
The vibe that I kind of get from my Celtic deck is very like straightforward and to the point, and like it doesn't fuck around.
Mm.
All right. Sometimes you need that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I get.
Real quick, I did want to apologize for eating on stream. I didn't plan this super well.
It's okay. You're fine.
It's quarantine. I'm a college student, and my brain is fried. So
you're all right. It's
I have been muting myself, so you don't have to hear me chewing.
But I want to hear your sexy chewing, Max.
just like ASMR.
Yeah, exactly. Just like hold it up and just like hop. Which I did not make sound attractive at all in the slightest.
It's fine.
But yeah, I don't know how else to segue into this, but I was thinking about how, like, and Kayleigh, I'm wondering, because you're also empathic as well, if you've ever selected a certain tool for your practice based on the way it felt as opposed to what it could do or not do, or what it means.
So yes and no. I think there's like, so there's a magic store in a neighboring city for me that I go to quite a bit, or that I did go to quite a bit before quarantine. And I get all my supplies from there, but I use that term "get supplies from there" very loosely because I'm very picky about the energy on stuff that I use. So, like, I've only bought one thing online, and I got really lucky because it feels good to me, and it's my altar cloth. Everything else, I have to buy them in person because I can't get vibes off of the internet. So I have like a sage bowl and a feather that it took me like 3 different visits to the magic store to get, because I couldn't get one with a good vibe on it to save my life. And then I finally got it, and it was super expensive. But I was like, what? This feels good to me. It's an expenditure that I'm willing to make at this point. So yeah, I know what I need for my practice. I just don't get it very much.
Yeah.
Because of that.
I'm actually very similar. I remember the last time we did this, I was talking about how there was a new age sort of store, so it had like stuff for paganism, but it wasn't specifically like pagan centric. Like there was a lot of Buddhism related stuff in there. I didn't want to say merch. That seems like the wrong word. But paraphernalia. Paraphernalia is a good word. But yes, so there was a lot of like Buddhist paraphernalia in there. But anyway, so at this new age store, there was a lot of crystals and things like that. And my friend and I, who was also a witch, we're not friends anymore, but my friend at the time, would go there together, and we would, pick out crystals and things like that. And I remember feeling very guilty because I must have annoyed the hell out of the store clerk because like I would just be like constantly like sticking my power hand into like the crystals and just like feeling individual ones, and like and like I'm just like thinking in my head like I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Like I have to feel the vibe.
Bad now, like touching everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Can't think about that during quarantine. God. But yeah, this is all like years before anything like this was even conceived. By pestilence. Sorry, I'm in a good omens mood. But, um, but yeah. So more recently, I work at a museum. Obviously not right now because of the pandemic, but um, the museum that I worked at had like little those little like polished crystals, and you could fill a bag for like $6. So you know, whenever I was like there and had like a little bit of extra money and needed more crystals for my practice, I would, you know, go there and just kind of like um, sense the different crystals in there, um, and pick them out and then like use those for my practice. So fun times. Gotta do what you gotta do when you're a poor witch. Working on a budget. But yeah.
I came to a point where I had a lot of tumbled stones and I was just getting they were helpful, but like I wanted something that was a little bit different. At some point I'm like, I need to stop buying tumbled stones.
Well, because we were talking about how because I think like the last time I mentioned that when I was growing up, there was like quartz in our driveway that we could find like naturally. And also like I remember like when I was a little kid, I would always like have trinkets and things like that that meant stuff to me. For the longest time, I don't have it anymore because it was too fragile and just ended up breaking. But I had like a crab shell that I found, like not a stinky one, just like the very thin top of like a crab that I had found, and like that was my prized possession for a while. I also find cicada shells to be very, you know, interesting as trinkets. Again, not sure what I would use them for in witchcraft, but
but sometimes you vibe with something.
Yeah, exactly. And like I don't know, just like the memory of those of keeping trinkets, and like, you know, my grandfather would like teach us how to boil feathers so that like it didn't have bird flu. You know, those kinds of memories sort of stuck with me. So I think that's kind of bled over into my practice, which is why I have a lot of focus on physical things, you know, in my practice in witchcraft.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I actually had a shoebox full of tree bark that I collected. Ooh. Just because I thought that it brought me good luck. I used to assign that to a lot of different things. I was like, this is my good luck charm, just because it felt good. So
that's cute. I like that.
Yeah, I guess it's valid and it works, but
yeah, I mean, like that's the thing about actually that's the thing about witchcraft in general that I think a lot of like that's so different from like a lot of monotheistic religions that focus on the power of like the higher god, you know, especially with Christianity. And I'm by the way, I am free to roast Christianity. I was Christian for many years. I was raised Christian for many years.
Same.
So yeah, so we roast Christianity. We roast Christianity in this chat. But you know, like the thing about it is that like everything is just entrusted to this higher power. And the thing about witchcraft is that a lot of it is about personal power. Like even when you're working with deities, and of course you have to respect deities, but the nice thing about working with, you know, deities or the fae, or, you know, wherever you're, of course working with the fae is a different thing, but I'm gonna get there in a second. You know, whoever you choose to work with, whatever sort of spirits you choose to work with, you know, whether you call them gods or the fae or whatever, it's so much more personal to your own practice most of the time. You know, I talked about being called by gods, but a lot of the gods that I have, you know, a lot of it I've just chosen to worship. And that's kind of like how I incorporated it into my practice, incorporated it into healing, and into working with water and electricity. Although I am not I'm not so powerful that I could be like an electricity bender from from Atla. But maybe one day, but not today. So that's the cool thing about it, is that like everything and everyone that you work with can be tailored to your own personal experience. And I think the cool thing is that like even if you meet with 10 plus people who worship the same god or goddess that you do, it's very rare to find like somebody who has the exact same experience with them, working with them. So that's just something that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff like I bought or acquired somehow for specific purposes. Like I have, normal witch things like crystals and candles and a little cauldron thing. And some of the stuff, it's just like I liked it and it felt spiritual and it's on my altar now. Like this thing is literally like a drip of candle wax that I just really liked.
Ooh.
It's from a taper candle and I just liked it a lot. I have this like 2-pronged fork that I got at like an art museum.
Ooh.
What am I supposed to use it for? Why is it here? I don't know, but I like it and it's there.
Exactly. That's all the reason you need.
Yeah. When you were talking about boiling feathers, a lot of the feathers that are on here I got when I was younger or bought or like found when I was a little bit younger, and I'm like, I probably should have boiled them or cleaned them in some way. Some of them I might have like left in a basement for 3 days, but I never got bird flu.
Yeah.
Never happened, but clean your stuff.
Sorry, Kayleigh, you were saying?
Oh, I'm sorry, were you?
I wasn't. I was just
okay.
You never got sick, so it's all good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
There you go, that works. That's the spirit, guys.
Yeah, I have a friend who works a lot with
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I have a friend who works a lot with like found bones and stuff like that, and a lot of them she just finds a lot of them are just kind of sun bleached, but she will just like clean them a little bit anyway. Like bones, if they've been there a long time, like be careful of that. Like I have this female deer skull from her, which I think I showed on the last stream.
But yeah,
she painted it for me, and it's really, I like it a lot. I love this thing so much. I think it might literally just be Sharpie marker, and the bone just takes to it really well, which I didn't know, but I think that might just be what's going on here.
It's still cool.
Yeah, I like her a lot. My friend and the skull.
Yeah. Both things.
Both of those.
I was trying to figure out which she you meant. I was like,
Both.
Yes. Exactly. But yeah, so I don't know, is there anything else we would like to talk about? Like,
you were talking about the Fae for like a second.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So I should probably go over that because I have had experience with the Fae. But I got very lucky. Because I did some research into the Fae and okay, well, I should start with how it happened. So I talked very briefly about having a spirit guide. So I did have a spirit guide, which there's probably a better word for it that isn't taken by Native Americans, but I'm sorry, I don't know one. So so I did have one of those for a while, and he was a Fae. He allowed me actually to call him Oberon, which is from Midsummer's Night's Dream. And I gave him a name that he could use for me, because obviously, like, you don't want to give the Fae your real name. That's bad. But it was very interesting having a member of the Fae be the first real, like, I don't know, I don't want to say it deity or extraterrestrial being, but like first powerful being, I should say.
Mm.
That first non-human entity that I really worked with. Um, and like I encountered him when I was basically just starting. So a lot of it was, I think, I got very lucky in the fact that he never tried to take advantage of me. I think he sort of was, the sense that I sort of got from him was that he was very old. Um, and he often gave me visions of living at the bottom of the sea. So he might have just been this old creature with no interest in fucking over humans, to put it lightly. But that's not always the experience that you get from working with the Fae.
No, it is not.
In fact, I would say that I am the minority. Working with the Fae is often considered very dangerous and not something for beginners to do. But of course, me being the naive person that I was, I continued to work with him. And luckily enough, I didn't get messed up from it. I think at one point, after I'd left college, I think either he got bored of working with me or decided that I didn't need his help anymore and just kind of left into the ether. And I have no contact with him now. But yeah, that doesn't always happen. So, I've been saying it like 3,000 times, but if you're going to work with the Fae, be very careful about it. And, I actually had a friend who worked with the Fae a little bit, and worked with a much younger Fae. And I remember, like, they were telling me that, like, the Fae that they were working with got very angry when they went near metal. So, like, don't do that. Be careful. You got to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But that was my sort of experience, and I got very lucky in the fact that like he seemed just like wise and just wanted to help, and he did help me get out of a lot of spiritual scrapes,
Yeah.
but including the entity, the negative entity that I had dealings with. So, but yeah, I mean, like, it's yeah, I don't know. That's that on that, I guess.
I think you did get very lucky because, like,
Yeah.
whenever I hear like newbie Fae encounter stories, it's always like they did one very small thing and got like a bloodline curse or something.
Yeah.
Like you just hear stories like that, and you're like, oh, you got lucky there.
Yeah.
It's just from what I understand, I've never actually worked with them, but I hear people talk about it a lot. Like there's just a million things that you have to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working with them. It's like, don't give them your real name, but don't say like this fake name is my name because that's a lie. Because you can't lie to them. Don't say thank you. There's just a million things.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And from what I understand, they will not always be super friendly and helpful unless, you have something to give them in return. Yeah. I've never researched it that thoroughly, but people are up like on the internet putting out PSAs and stuff. I do have this one book. It was a gift from a relative, I think, and I don't ask me why they got this for me, but they did, and it's cool. One second, I actually have it
here. Yay! Show the book.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It was a bit of a read. Yeah, I got this book. It's about djinn work, which is
related.
I believe it's a concept deriving from.
They're related.
Yeah, I believe it's a concept deriving from the Arabian Peninsula.
Yes.
Kind of like pre-Islamic cultures, I think. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, what? You're cutting off a little bit.
No. Sorry, No, I was just agreeing that yeah, that's where it's from.
Oh yeah.
Those kinds of mythologies.
And from what I understand, it is kind of like a not for beginners, not super friendly type of entity. Like this book doesn't even try to make it sound like a beginner friendly thing. Like part 2 is called Summoning the Infernal Djinn, so it's like they're not fucking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called It's called The Book of Smokeless Fire by S. Ben Cain, which I think I'm pronouncing correctly. I'm probably not. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's largely sigil based. I don't feel comfortable enough to try anything in it, but it's a really cool resource to have. Don't ask me where my uncle found this, but he got it for me.
There you go.
But yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's some things that are not necessarily for beginners. You can get fucked over a little bit. This is mature, right?
Okay. Yes, it is mature. You can curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I were going to do more spiritual work, I might be more interested in working with the Fae now that I know a little bit more, or working with other non-human entities, because that always did interest me. But as it happens, I don't do spiritual medium work anymore. So focusing on healing, I feel like, is probably where I'm gonna stay. But yeah, non-human entities are always interesting. They were actually like I only know about jinns because of the Arabian Nights, 1001 Nights, which actually is Islamic. So I guess some of their mythology does include jinns alongside their monotheistic religion, which is very interesting in and of itself. But yeah, the jinns in the tale are really like the Fae of old. Like they are almost demonic entities, I would say. In a sense, they're very dangerous to work with.
I have little to no experience with Fae. So.
Yeah.
Pardon
me. Again, I have no real experience. It's a lot of hearsay.
Yeah. Well, I remember we were talking because this was fresh news when we did this podcast last time. But the baby witches on TikTok who tried to curse the moon and curse the Fae.
God.
I remember that.
Just looking back on these like internet witchcraft scandals, and it's like that really happened, didn't it?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So.
I mean, hexing the moon during a pandemic too. That's just like.
Yeah.
I think they also tried to hex the Fae was part of that, which that's like
you just can't do that.
It's like committing arson in your own living room. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, definitely that stuff.
Well, I didn't hear that anybody died or anything. So
I think I heard at some point that like the witchcraft community in general was going to be okay. I know a lot of people were worried about being connected to ocean goddesses or moon goddesses, and them not having enough energy or such what.
I think these were people who, from my understanding, were very new to witchcraft in the community and all that. So I don't think they would actually be able to do anything per se that would be such an effective scale, but it did get a lot of attention because of just how absurd it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I can see being worried about something like that, like, because it's a thing you don't generally do.
And I will say that, like, I think, the Fae would take notice of that, even if it wasn't effective. So, safe to say that their relationship with the Fae is not good.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, should we ask the chat for any questions or anything, or is there anything else that you guys?
Sure.
Let's
do that.
We might latch on to some topics as we go. So
again, Kayleigh and I can't see chat, so
yeah. No, I can. Yeah, I'm watching. So hi chat.
Hi, chat.
If you guys have any questions about witchcraft or anything, we'd be more than happy to answer it for you. I think we have a very small audience, which is okay. But yeah, if anybody is interested in asking any questions, please feel free to do so. Because I know, like, we were talking about in a different stream, Kayleigh and I were talking about doing spiritual work and stuff like that. So, Max, have you ever done any, like, spiritual work, talking to ghosts, anything like that?
Probably not in a super formal sense. The only real divination I've done is with tarot. I do own a pendulum, but I've never really learned to use it properly. There was a time when I was quite sure that I was going to buy this pair of copper dowsing rods, which is a different divination tool.
Yeah.
Which you can use for like yes or no answers, or like traditionally, it's meant to find water and stuff like that, to find things. I didn't end up buying those, but yeah. I have done some scrying and some just general meditative stasis type stuff. But yeah, direct contact and stuff like that is not something I'm super familiar with. Not something I've done a whole lot of. I'd love to learn more though. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's the majority of my practice. I feel like is communicating with spirits.
Yeah,
and I don't use it as a divination thing because to me they're just people. Like they don't know anything more than I would, you know. But I just kind of use it as a, I don't know, it's kind of sad, but it's like they're my friends, you know.
Like, that's cool though.
Yeah,
like just kind of hanging out with dead people, you know.
Yeah,
as one does.
Yeah. I'm in a real Sly Cooper kick, so the first thing that came into my head was Ms. Ruby from the first Sly game. Anyway, nobody cares about my references.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds great.
That's why I'm like, no, Sylvie, let's not go off on a hyper-focus tangent right now. This is not the time.
I mean, I kind of thought you meant like in a more, yeah, that is kind of what I thought you meant by the question. Like, if you meant like divination or more formal by the book type stuff. I will sometimes like sense an entity and kind of like acknowledge and interact with it if I'm in a certain place. I'll just be like, there's an energy. I'm not sure what to do about it, but there it is. It's
hey,
sometimes it's a cool one. Sometimes it's like a
yeah.
I have had moments of it was this one time when I was still physically at college. Sylvie, I think I might have texted you when this happened, but I had this absolutely unnerving feeling of being followed to my car late at night.
Oh yeah,
I was late at night and I was walking around campus trying to go home, and I just got this way bad feeling. I couldn't pinpoint a thing, but I did get kind of like some kind of sensation on my back sometimes. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I've had terribly specific experiences in that regard. I'd love to experiment more with that though.
So you're talking about scrying. I don't actually know a lot about that.
In an informal sense, it can be just staring at something for a long time and kind of meditating on this visualization of a thing. Am I using the right word there? But yeah, it's something I used to do a little bit more than I do now. I wasn't necessarily looking for a specific answer. I was just kind of looking kind of reflectively, I guess. Like a lot of people do it with obsidian. Like there was a long time when I was very interested in getting an obsidian mirror. Those are very expensive. Because, I mean, like a small piece of obsidian, you can, like it's just a small polished piece of obsidian. A whole ass mirror made of it will cost you some money.
But that's cool though. Like I'd never like worked with scrying or anything. Most of my experiences are informal, just because, like Kayleigh, I'm a sensitive. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happened to me. Like, I don't-
yeah. So we just get invaded.
Yeah. And I do consider myself still like new to active practice. You know, even though I've been doing it on and off for a while, I only started doing it more seriously, more regularly, and more incorporating it into my everyday life more recently, I guess. Like, it was something that intrigued me, but I didn't feel like, no matter how much I read, I didn't feel like I had enough resources. I didn't feel like I really knew what I was doing. And sometimes that's cool. Sometimes it's okay to not, like, have a specific idea of what you're supposed to be doing, not to have a list or anything. But it was something that made me feel better, having a little more outside information.
That's good.
I know not everyone feels that way. It's just,
No, I mean it's a valid way to, just as stumbling onto things is valid, so is doing research and, like honing that sort of sense. It's a very valid way to like train yourself how to, see those things if you don't have a more natural ability. So I think it's very valid. Zane in the chat, my friend talks to spirits, but you know already it happens unexpectedly. He was watching a streamer playing a game. Streamer started to hum a song they played at his grandfather's funeral, so my friend hummed it too. Then the game he was playing showed him a new quest at the exact same time called Grandpa Says Hi.
Weird.
So that was an interesting experience.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, can't say I've ever had something like that happen. But because like we were talking during the paranormal stream that a lot of my experiences with the paranormal have happened at my job, because I work at some place that is haunted. So I kind of get to know the spirits there, and kind of like Kayleigh, it's kind of like, well, they're people. They're just coworkers at this point.
Yeah, I have heard you talk about specific people that hang out there.
Yes, yeah, they
like spirits specifically.
Yeah, they are very fun. I definitely, when the pandemic's over, I want to take you there, Max, so that we can talk to the spirits together.
I have been there, but never with you.
Yes, so we should go together.
I think I went there before I met you at some point. Yeah,
probably common landmark. Anyway,
one day when I have money, I can come visit.
Yeah.
One day in the magical future when there is no pandemic and everybody has money. Yeah, I want to go I want to go to where you are too, Kayleigh.
Yeah.
Meet all the spirits
in your
enjoy
it a lot.
I think so too. Well, I chat is quiet, so I don't know. Is there anything that is there?
Happens.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. Is there anything else you guys would like to discuss, or something that we could do to maybe wrap up?
I mean, God.
I know this has been a little short, but
yeah.
Yeah.
No, so like, I'm the only one here. No, it's Prod is lurking. Zane. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like, there are things like flickering through my brain that like we could talk about, like, I don't know, but
say that.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about
everything's a springboard.
Well, I was thinking about like sacred spaces, places that sort of have spiritual meaning, whether you live there or not. Like, for example, for me, even though like I'm no longer like primarily a sea witch, I think I would not feel happy unless like I lived somewhere that was close to the ocean. Like I've always There you go. Kayleigh feels the same way. Like I've always been so like attracted to the ocean, any water really, but the ocean specifically. That I don't think I could bear to live in a landlocked state. Um, I think it would depress me. And for quite a while, I wanted to. I still want to. I wanted to move closer to like a beach town. Because Max and I are. I don't know if you're okay with me saying this, Max, but obviously, like since we went to school together and stuff, we're in the same state.
Yeah,
so,
we're in the same state. Like just saying the state is fine. It's
no, I get you. I'm not gonna like.
Place.
I will not dox you, Max. I don't think I even could. I like as if I know your address off the top of my head. You ask too much of me. As if I could dox anybody.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I have no memory for like that sort of stuff. But it's probably good. So
I don't know yours, I just know where it is.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Like, oh, it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there, right there. Yeah, that one.
But yeah,
it's barking. But yeah, so yeah, we live in the same state. So New Jersey is obviously a like, you know, we have a beach and stuff like that, and like where I am, I'm like about 2 hours from it. So I grew up going to the beach a lot. And so like that has sort of been like I often refer to the ocean as my first god. Like that was the first like force that I was in awe of as a child. So much that it almost felt like its own entity, in a lot of ways. So, man, I gotta worship the sea goddess again, I guess. It's just calling to me, it's just begging me to do it. But yeah, so like the beach has always like meant a lot to me, and I think like, you know, that is like where my heart is. That's really the only reason that I like summer at all is the chance to go to the beach, because I hate heat in general. So.
I'm also very attached to the ocean in general. My whole extended family goes down every year for a week we just like rent a house in the in a shore town and stay there for a week. My grandparents are very generous in that way. They pay for a lot of it. But yeah, I prefer going to the beach to kind of connect with the ocean more in the evenings when I'm down there, because like when there's just a whole bunch of tourists on the beach, it feels like a lot of noise, like spiritually speaking. It's just like there's a lot going on, and I don't feel like the ocean and I could just chat, you know? It's the moon also, you know, since it's kind of like a sort of connected, it's kind of a correspondence between like the moon and the ocean, even scientifically, like with tides and all that. But yeah, it's, you know, a quiet beach is preferable for me.
Well, it's so strange because like when I'm like at the beach and like listening to the waves, it's like everything else sort of fades away.
I wish I had that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like maybe disassociating. I don't know, but you know, I like to go swimming, so I think that helps. Because I'll like swim in the ocean even if it's ice cold. I do not care. I'm that person. So unless there are shark flags, I will definitely be in the water.
Yeah.
And like, I guess that helps being like swept up, quite literally, in the ocean. It's kind of like a very isolating experience for me. Like I just kind of shut everything else out.
Yeah, sometimes if I'm swimming in the ocean a little more by myself, I can be kind of swept away from. I can kind of block out the tourists, but it is a little hard. They can be. I mean, I guess I'm technically a tourist there too, but like.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean though. It's hard
a lot
to
of
like.
People, a lot of children.
It's kind of like trying to meditate in a preschool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like
I mean, some beaches are better in that way than others. Like
that is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've had a lot of. Oh yeah, go ahead, Kayleigh.
For me, it's trees.
Mm.
I'm very much a forest witch.
Yeah.
Again, I hesitate to use the word witch yet, but I feel most at peace when I'm just surrounded by trees. And what's ironic about that is that I have a total black thumb and I kill everything I touch. But like, I love being around the nature that's been there for
Yeah.
ever. Yeah, it's very calming to me, and I don't think I could live in a place that didn't have like a national park or somewhere where I could hike and be alone with the trees. I'm like the Lorax.
I speak for the trees, yeah.
Speak for the trees.
Well, yeah. I kind of know that feeling.
Even in Animal Crossing, I can't cut down trees and just get rid of them forever. I have to like relocate them.
That's sweet, honestly.
Yeah. That's so cute.
Yeah.
It's a good way to be.
Yeah. I live in an area where there are sort of like not national parks, but just like protected forested areas. My grandparents' house before my grandfather died and my grandmother moved into a condo, which she had to. She couldn't keep the whole house up. There's this very steep hill, and if you go up it, it's just all kinds of trees. It's very forested. I miss that a lot. I spent a lot of time in there as a kid and as an adult, just chilling up there. I do miss that. I do need to go hiking a bit more because, one, I don't remember when the last time I left my house was, and second, I want to feel that connection again. I do have trees in my yard and nature, but it's not quite the same. Like, I don't live on a highway, but I live like in between a couple, and there's not as quite a dense wood as
I'm lucky I live in the middle of nowhere.
You are.
Yeah, I live in the woods.
Yeah, when I was little, like, my mom was very protective of us, of my brother and I, so we were never like really allowed to like go exploring. And our woods for many years were kind of like off limits to us until we were grown. So, I mean, like, not that we have woods, we have like an acre of land that's trees. But in the back. But like, so I guess that's why I never really like was interested in forests. My dad was a trying to think. My dad was a landscape architect. That's what it's called. For a while. So when he was living in New Jersey, he worked at a botanical garden that like he used to take my brother and I to. But again, like the trees and the plants and stuff like never really interested me. I was more interested in the flowing water that's in parts of that park. But yeah, I guess that's kind of why like nature that most people think of never really like attracted me the same way the sea did. Because like when we went to the beach, like it was kind of like going in a forest of sorts. It was like free reign. And there was an aquarium, where we went all the time, and like I could see sea creatures up close, and touch them too. We had touch tank, which is a big throw when you're a kid. And like I just remember, like I have so many memories from the shore, just like, my brother and I spent one beach trip frantically digging a giant hole by the edge of the sand so that we could like see sand crabs, those like little like isopod looking things that like bury in the sand.
Yeah.
And we found like a really big one that was like the size of my thumb. And like So like that was the big thrill of the trip. And like I spent one whole beach trip like letting the wave just like crash me into the shore so that I could like dig up snails from like from like the bed of the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. Or
So.
do you know those like tiny little clams where you can kind of dig up by the shoreline and there's just a million tiny ones and they kind of like crawl down to your palm and it tickles?
I
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I've seen them.
Yeah, they're fun.
Or help them. Yeah.
Aren't those gooey ducks?
Huh?
Aren't those gooey ducks?
Maybe they look like clams, so I've just been calling them clams. They might be something different. But like they look like little clams, but they've got like the foot thing.
Oh.
Gooey ducks are clams.
Oh.
Kayleigh's gonna educate us.
Please do.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what they were called.
Yeah, for sure. And then like
these might be bigger. Thinking of.
Mm.
They're slightly phallic too. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of mussels are also phallic. Like, I mean, have you seen a mussel? Like,
yeah. But these are the kind that spit water at you, though.
Oh.
Oh, I don't think they do that. They're
No.
like super tiny.
Mm.
They're like that. They're
Yeah.
It could be like little babies, little baby clams or scallops or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're like sometimes they're like purple or orange.
Oh yeah. I've seen like
yeah.
I've seen dead ones. I've never seen a live one, sadly. Because I've seen like the little shells. Yeah.
Are alive.
Because I've seen like the little shells, but yeah. Oh, go ahead, Kayleigh. Sorry.
When I was a kid, my friends and I used to like we would go on like field trips to the beach or whatever, and we would go along and just stab all the holes, and some of the holes squirt water at you as a self-defense mechanism, and those are the
That's funny.
Yeah, holes in the sand.
That sounds fun.
That reminds me.
There was this.
Oh, go ahead, Max.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I remember there was this one year where, for some reason, there were a lot of jellyfish washing up. Most of them were like just the transparent, like glob heads that didn't have any tentacles on them. Sometimes you would find one with a tentacle, and I believe I got stung at one point that summer, but it wasn't bad. I remember someone in the house, I think it was like one of my younger cousins, maybe it was me, I don't remember, but someone brought back to the house like a whole bucket of these like translucent globule things and like left them in the outdoor shower.
Oh no.
Eventually they got fairly nasty.
Ew.
That was not a fun.
Why?
Yeah, why would be my question.
I really don't know.
The weird things that kids do.
Yeah.
I actually think I remember that specific year because I was about to tell a story about that. Because I remember like...
Yeah, that may have been just a phenomenon that year.
I think it was because there was like a huge storm or something like that had like come and like washed all the jellyfish like inland. Because I remember like my mom and like we had like a family friend for a while. So like my mom it was sort of my mom's boyfriend. But not really. So my mom and like her boyfriend, for lack of a better word, and my brother and I like went to the beach one time, and it was right after like a storm, because I remember this because like there were like two distinct dunes that had been made by like the pattern of the waves. So like there was like this huge like sand mountain separating the beach from the rest of the water, and then there was like a basin which had like very still-ish ocean water in it, and that was where all like the jellyfish were, and like that was just like I just remember that being like such a cool sensation because like the water was like very like calm and low, which was sort of dangerous, I suppose. But you know, when you're a kid, you don't think about that. And you know, like there were like all these jellyfish everywhere, and like they were like the small like little globule ones. Um, and I swallowed one. My mom didn't believe me though. But
Were you okay?
I was okay. I felt like really sick like the day
Was
after.
it a small one? Like
Yeah, it was yeah, it was a small one. It was like that big, obviously, because it got into my mouth and I managed to swallow it. Yeah, but my mom like I mean, like I'm glad I didn't die. I mean, like it was probably honestly it was probably just like eating sushi, but like. But like I remember the next morning I felt like really sick. And I was like, Mom, I was like, Mom, I swallowed a jellyfish yesterday and now I feel sick. And my mom's like, you didn't swallow a jellyfish. And I'm like, but I did though. So, and now I have gastric problems years later, so who knows? Who knows?
I mean, I wouldn't assume that was related.
No,
like,
I'm making I'm making a joke, obviously. Yeah, no, okay. I was just like, because you were asking if I was okay, and I'm just like, well, I have gastro problems, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. I think it was like,
you know, no, okay.
I ate sushi. I think it was fine.
I think I ate a button once. Now I have depression, but I don't know. It's probably unrelated.
I'm gonna make that a clip. I ate a button and now I have depression. It's an obvious correlation. Eating buttons, depression.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the. Thank you, Squimbles. I can't thank my co-host who is usually here and puts up with my bullshit.
Thank you both for having me here.
Yeah. Of course. You know, you've been a lovely guest. I mean, like, you know, I know you better than Kayleigh knows you, but you know, I hope this has been a good experience for both of us here on the Once in a Queer Moon podcast.
Yeah, it's been a good experience for me.
Aw. That's good. All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I said that already, but that's okay. I'll say it again. And yeah, it's a little bit of a short stream tonight, but I'm okay with that. I have to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow for a panel. So
okay,
that's fun. But yeah, so thank you everybody who's here from Twitch.
Thank you everyone.
Yeah, and we'll see you all. I don't think we have enough people to raid, so but yeah, have a good night everybody. Bye.
Bye.